Hey, everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. So we have WWE personalities, dignitaries, whatnot. They have made their way to Saudi Arabia. They've gotten there safely. I know this is going to be a huge topic of discussion the next couple of days with SmackDown taking place there on Friday night. And then obviously, Night of Champions happening on Saturday. But in the latest episode of Punk Derangement Syndrome, which has been, I think CM Punk might have named it himself. If not, I'm gonna, whoever came up with that, good for you. I'm not gonna take credit for that. But in the latest episode of this, CM Punk was seen walking in with Randy Orton. I think it was to some sort of an event, and a kid comes up from the side on him. He can't see him. A security guard is following him, and it looks as if you look at it like really quickly, it looks like CM Punk pushed this kid away in Saudi Arabia. But if you look at it in slow motion, it looks clearly like CM Punk is trying to walk. He doesn't see this kid, and he doesn't forcibly move himself off of this. And a security guard pushed this kid away because it's CM Punk. WWE's got to protect their talent, and they're at a function, whether I like Saudi Arabia or not. And listen, little kids can be what little kids are. But, this is, you just don't know what's going to happen in a certain situation. This is why people and wrestlers have spoken out about like being basically barraged about getting autographs in the airport. We've seen this all the time. And for the love of God, man, AEW Sickos had a field day with this footage from CM Punk, removing all context of what happened and just trying to say, man, I saw one person say, man, the real CM Punk died in 2022 and like all these other things. And I'm like, wait a second. Okay. So you guys mean to tell me that your company's doing so well, you're 16 days away from your biggest show of the year. You haven't gotten the 20,000 tickets. Yeah, the best rating that you've had in the last 2 years is because of the man that you're obsessing about. And you tell me you don't need him. You tell me you guys don't need him, yet you continually, every chance that this guy gets in the media, when he cuts a promo, you say his promos are shit. When he goes into Saudi Arabia and he's just walking and maybe by chance didn't see a little kid and he's trying to go to something. I don't know the context of it. I'm not going to report about it, but it didn't look like he shoved the kid away. It looked more like, if you actually watch the footage and don't selectively watch it, it looked like, yeah, maybe he stuck his hand out, but he didn't like shove the kid out of the way. Like everybody was making the joke, fuck them kids. Like that's not what this was. A security guard forcibly got his hand in there and got the kid away. The situation probably could have been handled better, but that's not on CM Punk. You guys just don't like the guy. You guys just don't like the guy, okay? And yes, a big topic of discussion going into this match with John Cena is morality. Here was another thing that was really interesting. And pardon me, let me go on a side tangent here for a second because we're talking about Punk Derangement Syndrome and Punk. Matt Riddle. You guys remember Matt Riddle? He's been largely irrelevant because nobody wants to work with him because he's a piece of shit. So he quote retweeted this, and I think he had like a thinking emoji or something about it, or it was just I can't remember what it was, but I was like, it's really rich coming from a guy like Matt Riddle who has shot his mouth off no matter what and got run out of WWE because he was a fucking idiot. And he's mouthing and he's trying to make, just jokes about CM Punk and this little incident that happened. It's not, listen, stuff like this happens more often than we can figure out, okay? Where kids will come up out of nowhere when they're not at a signed event and, and something like this is bound to happen a lot more often than it is. This got caught on tape. It happens to be CM Punk. And because you AEW sickos cannot get over the fact that you lost this guy and you fumbled away your biggest draw and he's doing much better in WWE, even though you had him in your company for 2 years. And because you couldn't make it work out, you're mad at him still. So you're making up false narratives just to make yourselves feel better about yourselves that CM Punk is no longer with you. Okay? Don't act like you guys weren't celebrating this shit 4 years ago. It didn't go well for you. Move the fuck on. If you're really focused on being the best company possible, why don't you just stop talking about him, okay? Stop it. I'm going to have another video because there was another situation that broke out over the internet that I've already talked about with Mariah May, now known as Blake Monroe. And I will get into this later because, you know, it's really interesting that everybody gets mad at me for being critical of people, yet the AEW sickles will just pile on somebody when, you know, something like questionable happens. And this to me was nothing. This was nothing. This got blown way out of proportion for CM Punk because, and you know, the morality aspect of this, where, you know, hey, he said some things about, you know, blood money. The blood sucking dick comments came back to light from like 5-6 years ago when he mouthed off to Miz on Twitter. Like, in the social media age, your old tweets are going to come back to bite you. And, you know, CM Punk is going to have to eat this. But here's the reality of the situation. As a big star in that company, and especially considering WWE is boxed in with the existing Vince McMahon deal that they signed in 2018, and then let's be real, TKO is probably going to extend it because they already do business in Saudi Arabia anyway. I don't like it, but if you're working for WWE, you're going to have to go there. You're going to have to go there. So he's going to have to eat it. And let's be real, none of us are perfect. And I've been on record saying this, and before this channel existed, I was not a fan of how CM Punk conducted himself going out the door. I got why he was upset, and the way that that company was run was part of the reason why he was in that situation. But the fact that we are still trying, like, as a fan base, and like, if you're an AEW, you're a diehard AEW sicko. Like, I'm not a sicko. Despite what you people may think, I try to root for AEW. I just don't like the way they conduct the business, and most of the fans are pieces of shit. And the amount of people that were just jumping on this situation just because they wanted to root for something bad to happen to CM Punk because he went out in a certain way. It was very controversial. We all know the stories of what happened. For God's sake, AEW felt compelled basically to throw the footage on one of their television shows. And you mean to tell me you guys have moved the fuck on from this? Are you crazy? Like, seriously, like, it blows my mind how much CM Punk still lives rent-free in the talent's head and lives rent-free in the fans' head. You guys have never been the same since he left. That's the reality. And you can't admit that, and you can't go to sleep at night knowing that your company is never going to be the same because that guy left. And just because he had a chance encounter that happens in a lot of different functions, it happens at WrestleMania weekend, because he's in Saudi Arabia, a place that he said he basically publicly said he didn't want to go to. You guys are trying to form a narrative that now all of a sudden he's an asshole to kids. He literally took a photo with the kid literally just within minutes after that. I don't know if it was the same kid, but there was literally photos on social media of him taking photos elsewhere. He was trying to get somewhere. A security guard got in the way, and he put his arm out because he didn't know what was coming up from his side. Then again, like I said, this is the whole nature of this situation is stupid, okay? And if you don't like CM Punk, and if you're an AEW fan, why do you care? Why do you care now? If your company is so great and you're going into your next biggest show, this to me comes across as you guys are just fishing for something because deep down in your own insecurities, you are not feeling great about your AEW show. You can keep telling me, hey, it's great, but it's not great. If you were a smart person, and listen, if it's for you, you want to believe that, that's fine. But if you're going to come in to me in the same breath and tell me that you guys haven't moved on from CM Punk, you're full of shit, okay? Like, this was such a non-issue. This was a nothing burger to me. It may have looked bad in plain sight, but if you watch the footage back, and believe me, I've seen this clip probably 100 or so times because it's just been smeared across my timeline all day. It's nothing. A security guard got in there and tried to set, because, like, yeah, the kid wanted an autograph, but CM Punk's trying to get somewhere. And Randy Orton's walking right next to him. They're trying to get somewhere to a signing, okay, or whatever this was. I don't know why this had to be a big deal. Actually, you know, now that I mention it, I do know why. You AEW sickos just want to find something wrong about CM Punk. And yes, he's got some flaws. But this was just a big old nothing burger. So, anyway, we'll have more on the channel coming up here. We'll have Night of Champions predictions coming up for those of you who care about that show, even if it's very scummy that they are in Saudi Arabia. It is what it is. At some point, we're just going to have to come to terms with the fact that this is the reality of what we live in. It sucks, but it is what it is. So, anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.